I said this to all entrepreneurs was important. It's best to do something that you already love to do. That's where that passion comes from. Because if you chase something just because of the money, yes, it be good, yes, it feels good, but it doesn't last long term. I had never created no other business because I was very selective of what I wanted to do. Because whatever I wanted to do and whatever I started doing, I wanted to be able to do it from the start to finish.
So often we get caught up into vice-related hobbies, things like traditional hookah, cigarettes, and alcohol, and etc. But you provide an offering with no nicotine whatsoever, and actually with fruit. And so, talk about the growth in hookah in our community and why what you're doing is so important.
Yeah, I feel like as far as like drinking and smoking, neither one of them are worse than the other. I feel like we all have our guilty pleasures in different ways. So I mean, even when it comes to simple as eating food, like we probably shouldn't be eating pork chops, we shouldn't be eating fried chicken, but we're going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you feel like I should be eating that bad fried chicken, instead I'm going to saute it in a skillet with some butter, and maybe that's a little healthier
Yeah.
than eating the fried chicken. So the same thing I wanted to do with hookah. Hookah is becoming such a big thing in our community. I find myself a victim of it as well. Like, want to be down, want the aesthetic, wanting the vibe, going out with friends. And you get the drink when you're sitting there. It's almost like we all are hooked on this oral fixation. We just need to be doing something.
Yeah.
And I never smoked before in my life. I had never smoked a cigarette. I had never smoked marijuana, nothing like that of that sort. But I found myself smoking hookah and realized I was exposing myself to so much nicotine and tobacco. It was just like I was just the same person that I was condemning from smoking packs of cigarettes. I became that. So I wanted to figure out a way that not only for myself but for other people, how could we, have our guilty pleasures, do the things that we love to do, but expose ourselves to less harm, less toxins, less chemicals. Found myself getting headaches, stomach aches, feeling nauseous because I was smoking so much nicotine and tobacco. And that's when I realized there's a way that I could continue doing this, but just not doing it in such the worst way possible. And that's when I feel like my importance to the community of offering something that literally didn't exist, something that we couldn't get anywhere else. I knew it was a way, like everything was not here before. Everything has to be like innovative. You know what I'm saying? So even though I had got so many no's and so many people felt like it was so crazy. What you mean fruit with a hookah? That's not possible. But you also use fruit to put your nicotine and tobacco shisha inside of. People stuff it with grapefruit, with oranges, with pineapples, and they still put the foil on it and they still put the coals on top. So I feel like fruit was already incorporated and you still burning the fruit some kind of way. So I knew it was a way to intercept the two and do it in a better, perspective.
So you mentioned a couple other things in our community that may not be the best for us, but you saw hookah as a business opportunity for you. Why hookah versus any of the other things that you could have done?
The reason why it's hookah, because I said this to all entrepreneurs was important. It's best to do something that you already love to do. That's where that passion comes from. Because if you chase something just because of the money, yes, it be good, yes, it feels good, but it doesn't last long term. I had never created no other business because I was very selective of what I wanted to do. Because whatever I wanted to do and whatever I started doing, I wanted to be able to do it from the start to finish, know the ins and outs about it, and really be passionate about it. Because when the money comes, it feels good, but when the money slows down or stop, would you still care about doing this particular thing, or would you try to hop on the next wagon with the next dollar attached to it? And that was never me, and I didn't want it to be me. So hookah was something I did every day, all day. It was part of my regular life anyway, with my friends and with my outings. It was things I had knowledge about that I know what I was looking for. I knew what tastes good. I knew how it made me feel. I knew another alternative I was looking for when I was affected by the original, nicotine and tobacco. So it was all things that I also, as an entrepreneur, was also able to eliminate myself as an entrepreneur and also see the different faces of it as a consumer. So I knew the ins and outs about it. So that's why it made the most sense for me.
And so you mentioned this oral fixation. So sometimes it's just the action of smoking that satisfies the desire to smoke. And because yours doesn't have nicotine, there's more to it. So can you talk about what that is?
Yes, it don't have nicotine, it don't have tobacco, so it's really more so like the oral fixation. A lot of people just thinking that they so addicted to that cigarette is so addicted to that hookah, that nicotine, that tobacco, because they're telling themselves, "Oh, I need that." What do Blakk Smoke do for you? I'm not gonna feel nothing. I'm not gonna get high. Oh no, I can't smoke that. I need my nicotine, my tobacco. It's not the nicotine and tobacco that got you hooked to that at the beginning. It was that oral fixation. And when you got so accustomed to the oral fixation, now you have probably became addicted to that nicotine and tobacco from trying to fix that urge of that oral fixation so much. So when you really thinking about it, like it's literally the oral fixation which plays a part. That's why when people will literally say, "Oh, my nerves bad," they got in an argument or somebody made them upset. I need a cigarette right now because my nerves bad. It's not the nicotine and tobacco calming you down. It's your mind making you feel like once you're doing that oral fixation, something is happening, but nothing is really happening.
So oftentimes the solution to problems are all around us, and so we just have to reframe the way we look at things, and opportunities can be all around you. And so if I think of problems as opportunities, and so if you just open your eyes, there's business opportunities all around you. The smoking is, to your point, is often correlated to the relaxation, and you found a way to do it with fruit. Can you talk about how we can reframe ourselves for problem solving by working to with a different lens on the world around us?
Yeah, like pretty much when you really thinking about it, everything that you see around you, everything that you probably think of your regular day to day life, that probably be so normal to you, it always stems from something. It always comes from something. So there is always an opportunity. There is always a business venture, a business idea that can come from anything. Like for instance, you could sit there and be having a regular day and just go outside and step in mud on your shoe, and by the time you came home, your shoe is hard. It's hard to get the mud up. Broom, broom, broom. Literally, you could come up with a shoe cleaner that's literally just for mud stains. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so easy to just do with everything that's around you. Like I've had a cousin that's not too long ago was telling me about how he came to my refrigerator and literally tried to make a drink, and by me not using my ice and my ice maker, the ice is constantly made. When it come to get the ice out, it was all hard and stuck
yeah,
together.
yeah,
He was like, "You need to do something. You need to create something where they have individual ice cubes and they come out like Sonic ice, like the small cubes." I said, "Why don't you create a filter or create a refrigerator that has ice come out like that?" He said, "Nobody got no Sonic refrigerator." I said, "No, Sonic is the only one branding the ice. How about you brand the refrigerator?" And he was looking at me like I was crazy. I said, "I guess my ideas are way too advanced for you right now. You're not there yet. You're not ready, brother."
I love that. But you're right. If problems are all around us, therefore opportunities are all around us. If we just take a different look at the things that are around us. So your products have been extremely viral on social media, and I want to know how you're able to achieve. Like, what tactics have you used to ensure that your posts go viral?
Yeah, so this is my thing. That's why I tell people like I understand. Please don't get me wrong. Where I'm not acting like money isn't important. Like it's our way of living. It's our way of surviving. Money is as important. I get it, our livelihood. But the biggest thing is to create an audience, build a structure, build a foundation, and build a family. Like, like be able to connect with your audience, build this magnitude of this understanding with them. So then when you have that connection first, and these people that's looking to you, admire you, like inspired by you, connect with you, like you talk back, you respond back, you always include them and let them know the importance of who they are to you. That feeds their soul, but also feeds your business. A
Yeah,
lot of people just get on here and don't connect with the audience, and but take their business and just post a flyer or post a sale like restocking this Friday, restock. Nobody wants to feel like they're just looked at as a dollar. Nobody wants to feel like that's just like if you was in a relationship, your spouse only come to you when they have a problem. Okay, other than when I solve your problem financially, what else do you think of me? What else do we have in common? Like I'm
yeah.
not a sugar daddy. You're not my parent. So it's the same thing with your consumers. It's okay that you have people that support you, and it's okay that you value that they support you. But outside of them supporting you and buying from you, what else is there y'all share? So I share more of a connection with my audience. I share more of relatable things, us talking about us really getting to know each other. Like they really feel like they have watched me elevate, and they feel like they played a big part in my success, which they have. They feel like they have watched my kids grow up. They call them their nephew, and they sons and stuff like that. So when you build that structure first, the money is going to flow. But when you just chasing the money, you limiting yourself of the excess of what all comes with it.
So what I hear you saying is, social media can't be used as a one-way conversation, like you just post, and you have to engage in the comments, and
Mhm.
engage on other people's posts and etc.
Yes. Yes, you have to, because like it's such a worldwide thing. Like everybody is totally different. Like it's not one world, it's not one community. You can't post one thing and touch everybody. Like everybody has a different way of life, a different way of thinking. It's something that I post that may have flirted 200,000 people, probably have made 50,000 people be like, I don't like that or that's weird. So you have to touch things that can relate to as everybody. And you probably would never relate to everybody, but at least try to relate to as many people as you can. And you can't post to social media just from your lens, because not everybody also think like you. Not everybody understands your perspective. So you gotta sometimes take yourself out of the box. Like I wouldn't normally like this, but somebody out here may do. So you really can't think about it like that. I was also telling a person like that about a business venture that they was working on. They was getting my opinion on it, and they was talking about different flavors and stuff like that of this alcohol beverage, and they was like, no, because I hate blueberry. No, because I don't like pineapple. I say that's what you hate. That's what you don't like. But there's millions of people in the world that love blueberry, that
Right.
love pineapple. So are you going to be the one buying from
Buying all your
yourself?
stuff. That's right.
Exactly. Your consumers, it was matters. If the people that's buying from you that you expect to support you say, this is my favorite flavor, you're gonna not sell it because you say, I don't like it. That
All
doesn't make any
facts.
sense, you
That's
know?
that's good, Black. When you sell humongous days like you've had, a $1 million day, $2 million days,
Yeah.
you're not always stocked, I imagine, with $1 million worth of product in a warehouse or $2 million worth of product in a warehouse, I imagine, especially when you do it early. How do you manage to coordinate sales with inventory so that you can
No,
get
so
them their product fast enough?
this is the thing. I have never done pre-orders before. I only, and I preach this all the time, only sell what's inside of your warehouse, which is why I had to get, I don't know if you've seen when I just purchased the
I
humongous
saw it's
headquarters.
beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And that's because the reason why I was selling out, because I was only able to go as far as my inventory allowed me to. So when I had those $1 million days, I was completely sold out. So I always was mad at myself. Everybody else around me cheering was like, "Woo! You made $1 million in a couple hours." And I'm mad at myself with my head down, because if I made $1 million in such and such hours and it stopped only because my inventory ran out, I was sold out. I could have made $3 million in 12 hours. I could have made five
Yeah.
million dollars in 24 hours, but I limited myself. So I'm never okay with selling out. It all sounds good and all looks pretty, but if you literally a business person and you focus on the growth of your business, you hindering your growth every single time. So selling out is not the goal. The goal is constantly making more money, and being having enough inventory to sustain the amount of magnitude of your consumers, but still not selling out. Always got to supply for somebody else, because also you can't get so like cocky and level headed to the point where you feel like, oh yeah, if it's sold out, when I restock, they will come back. You gotta always have this humble mindset that when
That's
I
right.
don't have it, they're gonna get the next best thing from the next best person.
That's right. And so how do you think about, because you're selling out so quickly? What is the thinking on the balance of, well, if it's selling out so fast at this price, maybe it's priced, it could go higher. How do you think about that?
So that's the thing. I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Uh, when with everything selling out so fast and the price is what it is, like before I released it, I like evaluated everything and found out my pricing points and what worked for me and what will be most suitable for me. How could I manage my business, be fair to the consumers, but also make sure I'm getting my profit and able to sustain my lifestyle and everything like that. When I came up with that price, I did that. So just because I'm being supported to this magnitude, I feel like it'll be unfair to the consumer and very selfish to raise the prices, and fluctuate the prices just to make my life a little better and make my profit a little higher, but actually taking more out of their pocket. These are the people that support me. I need them to feel more comfortable than me. So this is when they work hard and get their check every week, I need them to like buy from me and not have regrets after it. I need them to love the product when they receive it, and I need them not have a regret when they see that price come out their bank account. Because at the end of the day, if we constantly see something that's costing us too much money and we add up at the end of the month, end of the week, and say this is too high, 9 times out of 10, we not going to go back and continue doing that.
Like that. And so I was reading this interview, and this is a quote from you, and you said, "I wanted to offer a healthier alternative. I wanted to create a vaping product that could be made with vegetables and water, but no one wants to smoke vegetables or water. I was left with that truth, but felt there had to be a way possible to incorporate fruit into hookah smoking. I tried many things and received a great deal of feedback. People told me it was not possible. It was so discouraging. It was not going to happen. It was not going to work, and that fruit would burn. How do you go about then testing sampling products before you go into mass production into manufacturing?"
Oh my God, that was a lot. That's the part that I'll say is discouraging because before I even got to the point of getting tested, so many people wouldn't even entertain the idea to test it. It was like I can tell you right now that's not going to work. I can tell you right now that's not possible. I can tell you right now, it's so. And also a lot of those no's and a lot of that feedback also worked better for me because they allowed me to also go back to the drawing board and constantly reinvent, constantly like re-educate myself more and more and more. What could I add? What could I do? What could I subtract to make sure it's possible to also I was trying to work so hard to convince people to understand the logic from the beginning, so that I wouldn't even get a no. To the fact that it made me get my stuff down to the T so perfect that I couldn't get a no more. And not only did I get a yes, the yes that I got was just so it was so like above and beyond because I did all the work. If I would have got a yes from the beginning, I probably would have stopped there. I wouldn't have researched more. I wouldn't have added more. I wouldn't have see what could be used, what can't be used. So I just feel like that was the best thing that could happen to me. I literally got, I think it was like 17 denials,
Wow.
21, or something of that nature. That's very discouraging, especially since at the same time I'm fronting everything. I'm paying for these mixtures. I'm paying for these formulas. I'm paying for these testing. I'm also trying to live my life as an entrepreneur already and doing things on Instagram. I don't have that much money right now, so all these things are costing. It's discouraging, especially when you already got a comfort zone. I was doing things right now with WeTV networks and stuff like that, making a lot of money with those. So it's like, why even entertain something I'm getting those from and making $0 from, and I'm spending all the money I'm making here? That's very discouraging. You might as well say, forget that. I'm gonna go where I know it's for sure at. But I was adamant, and when I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And I feel like my vision is my vision for a reason because I see things that other people can't see. So I'm not going to let their response dictate what I continue to do from that point. I'm going to prove you wrong, and I did that.
I love that. I love that. Other than your online strategy, which you can direct B2C, business to consumer, you can sell directly to your customers. How did you work out your business to get distribution to the other people's stores, other people's vape shops, and other people's hookah lounges so that they can sell your products?
So that's the thing. We have like tens of thousands of emails and requests about that. I have never done that yet. I haven't allowed them to do
Wow.
that yet because I feel like I'm still a new business. I'm like less than 2 years in the game. So I still have my freshness. I still have my exclusivity, and I love that about me. Like I'm an online business. I'm doing so great online and everything like that. So I feel like before at least let me like exude in the success and all the the highs and the lows and experience all my lessons on behalf of myself before I include others before I even get to their
Hmm.
route. Like I would want more experience as a individual, independent entrepreneur before I include like A through Z right now. I'm not ready for that yet, and I understand that one day that's definitely supposed to happen and that's going to happen. But I just feel like right now is not the right time, especially if I'm having so much success on my own by not being so exclusive. I feel like that plays a big part that people want to come get it because it's not easy accessible. And when they sell out, they're waiting for the restock. So I feel like I'll be working against myself while I'm at the highest part of my career at this point.
How did you get celebrities to back you on using their social media platforms, or was that just they saw it organically and like, yo,
Yeah,
let me just.
organically. That's the thing about me. Like I thought it was so hard for these celebrities. I always admired these celebrities. I'm human like everybody else, and I was like, one day I wish I could. One day I wish I could get this person, get that person. But they are human just like us. They like to do the same things that we do, and they like to be a part of the trends and everything else like everybody else. So I guess seeing my business everywhere, seeing everybody going crazy about it, seeing that everybody don't have access to it what it made them want to do is use their celebrity card and just slide in the DM and be like, yes, I know it's sold out. I know they can't get it, but I want to try it. Can I get it? And that's where it started at. So it got to the point that they started sliding DM or get my number from a fellow friend, asking to try it. I sent it to them. Hopefully one day we could do business. And before I know it, when they get the delivery, they're making a video just like everybody else. And they literally used to brag and be like, well, y'all can't get this. I know it's sold out, but I got mine. So it became a trend. Like it's like the who's who got the Blakk Smoke, you know?
That's fire. That's fire. Um, so when you have this kind of success, ultimately it leads to copycats. How do you manage that?
Well, the good thing about it, like you gotta make sure your business is right. Like handle your business before you release your business. I made sure I had all my paperwork right. I made sure I have all my patents right, all my legal documents. Like nobody can touch what I created. It's literally mine. I own it. Every percentage.
When I think about when you create innovative products, I want you to go a level deeper there on how you keep away copycats or have a brand strong enough that they can do whatever they're gonna do. We're gonna do what we're gonna do anyway. And so, how do you think about your brand being so strong, and how do you ensure that it's so embedded in the minds of your consumer that 10 other people can go and do their fruit thing? We still gonna lead this market.
Yeah, and that's my biggest point. I feel like people remember the people remember you in the way that you present yourself. So if I would have just came out and said, "Hey, hookah from fruit," instead of explaining that this couldn't be done, I was the first one to do it, whatever the case may be. So that's why people hopped on the wave and they want to try regardless because it's like this is impressive, this is interesting. I want to try something that I never tried. I want to see what this is like, see what this tastes like. So I feel like now we are stamped as the number one hookah brand, not only the number one hookah brand, that's the first to ever do it. So now even if somebody else was to do it or try to do it, that's cool, but it always will be like, oh, you doing what Blakk Smoke have done, I feel like there's no way around it. It's never gonna be somebody to come like take my spot, outdo me because you cannot erase history, and I have made history.
I love that. There's an entrepreneur I follow. His name is Paul Judge, and I'm gonna paraphrase a quote that he said because it makes me think of you. And it says, "The easiest way to get smart people to want to work with you is to have big ideas. Smart people want to work on big ideas, not small ones." And you're creating something out of nothing. And talk to me about some of the most critical roles on your team from the start that were important to you getting to the scale that you're at. Because they could have done a lot of other things.
Yes, absolutely. Just like having a vision is one thing, but having your vision unfold in front of you, like I can promise you, I can tell you firsthand, like it's not as beautiful and as peachy and cream as it may sound like because you only believe as far as you can think, and you can only could think as far as what you're capable of. So I had this vision, this idea, and this magnitude, and this idea of how big I wanted it to be and how grand I wanted it to become. But me as a person, I was not prepared. I was not ready to deal with that. Like I didn't have the proper knowledge and understanding because I feel like I was going to learn as I go. What I have accomplished this far probably would have been my 20-year span. So
Mm.
I thought as I grow on, I was going to have time to, educate myself and learn more and be able to put things in different perspectives. But my success almost happened overnight. So it's like you're making the money, you got to deal with the product, you got to deal with inventory, you got to deal with the help, you got to deal with the consumers, you got to deal with the growth, you got to deal with the brand. Like all that is a lot for one person, especially when you're not starting off as a team. You're not starting off with a team. So the role that the people that I do have closest to me, thank God for them, they play such an important role like working the late nights, early mornings. I'm talking about getting off at 4 a.m., coming back to work at 8 a.m. Like
Yeah.
I cannot take all the credit. It's times where they tell me, you rest, you go home, you go get you some sleep, and they was running it. So I'm at a point right now, like I just cherish the people. It's like I cannot tell my story without including them in it because they done this with me. Like this is all written, and it has people on my team that I can promise you, it can be 50 years from now. I can promise you, there's nothing that can make them not be a part of this team. There's nothing that can make me fire them or get rid of them. It's just like without them is no me, and without me is
Yeah.
no them, and we have that understanding. And I would never break that loyalty.
I've heard you well, there's other people who would not embrace being called an overnight success, but I've heard you embrace it. Can you talk about why you've embraced that concept of being an overnight
Yeah.
success?
Let me tell you why I embraced it because although my journey itself wasn't overnight, because I was creating myself as Blakk Tatted, already an entrepreneur, working hard, working with these brands and doing those things. However, the Blakk Smoke success was overnight. Despite that, I used my platform that I had worked on for so many years. That doesn't make a difference. When I released my brand, it was an overnight success. And the reason why I'm not against the overnight success because I feel like that's ultimately the goal that everybody should want. Nobody want to have the option to say, "Hey, you can make $1 million tomorrow," and they're gonna say, "Hey, no, I'd rather do it in 7 years." No, so you don't really hear about the overnight success too often. So I feel like when it happens, it's a great thing, and I want to give other people hope that you can have that 1 week or that 1 day or that 1 month that can really change your life. Not everything is going to take 5 to 7, 10 years. So that's why even I feel like that gives you the push that you need, even when things doesn't go the way that you expect them or want them to go. You know, this one day it could probably pop. So I feel like that's giving people inspiration and hope to not give up and keep going because it just may be your day and it just may be your week.
And so I want to go a little bit into your who Blakk Tatted was before being CEO of this big company now. You were a social media influencer. Like you had people, you were funny, you were doing the comedian thing. And there was a quote I found for you where you said, I was, because you had brand deals. People were paying you to post about their stuff. And you said, I was okay with giving everybody else business, but it never hit me that I was truly sleeping on myself. That's a quote from you. And so, what is the difference though between an influencer who can create a big following and can sell things versus an influencer who can't seem to make anybody pull out their wallet? Because that happens.
Yes, that's the difference because also what people gotta understand, like having followers is not like equivalent to having influence. It can have people with a lot of followers and they can literally be a comedian that makes skits with a wig on per se. And it has people that follow them simply because of that reason. All they want to see from you is that video, this character that you put that makes me laugh. That's it. But it's a difference when you have a person with followers with influence that pretty much their word is bond and have built a loyal following and people know that they don't just put their name and their mouth and they stamp on everything. That's why it was very important to me that just because something sounded good and just because something was presented to me and just because it matched the dollar amount which I asked for or maybe have succeeded, well, you asked for this and you say no, so I'll give you this instead. It was never about the money for me. It was always about like my influence, always about my word of mouth. Because if I'm going to tell my followers to go get this, when they're going to get it, I needed to actually work because if they go get it and it doesn't work, that's going to only hurt me in the long run when I say go get something that I really need them to go get. So if I don't believe in it, I'm not going to post about it. If I wouldn't use it, I'm not going to tell them to. If I wouldn't buy it, I'm not going to convince them to buy it because you can't do things with just $1. That's a temporary fix, but that's a long-term disaster.
Blakk Tatted. So good to talk to you, man.